Coming at you live from two different locations on computers. This is the Blue Heaven Podcast. What is going on, Dodgers Nation? My name is Clint. You can find me as Real FRG on Twitter and Instagram. That guy over there is.
Oh, that's my entry. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. You don't usually give me a soft toss to it. Guys, what's up? My name is Brooke. You can find me at BrookeMe3 on Twitter and Instagram. Today, well, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We got to talk about our Elite Sports Collectibles giveaway of that. Well, we have a big giveaway, actually, right? Yeah,
this is definitely our biggest giveaway with our friends at Elite Sports Collectibles to date. And, it's going to be our second to last show of the year. So next week we got to have the giveaway. We got to announce it. We can't make people just like wait around, and we're not going to come back on, in between the holiday times. That's just weird.
Nah. We're busy during that, doing nothing and not talking to each other. Cold stove, hot stove, cold stove's heating up. Some things are happening. It's a really rough year, guys. We don't know what to expect. Baseball doesn't even know what they're doing, but slowly but surely things are happening. And we're excited about it, and we want to talk about it tonight, as I'm sure you do too.
Yeah, the cold stove is finally heating up, so that is a good time. We also got to talk about Hendriks and Morrow and Bauer. Oh my! Because as the rumors happen, we'll go heavy on the fact that these are rumors. It gives us some fun things to talk about, and we also want to talk about as we are the Los Angeles Dodgers, as people DM us sometime thinking we are. We got to talk about our own free agents, kind of seeing what the latest is going on with people like Kiki and the rest, as they call them, JT and all that kind of stuff. So sticking to a few of the comments, as some people may notice, we have a new looking layout. Why not do it on the second to last episode of the year? Have a little bit of fun with it. But we also are a podcast. So find us, Blue Heaven Podcast, in all the places where your podcasts are available for free. But, we got a lot of people popping up in the stream, so we appreciate you guys hanging out.
We do. This is a live show, guys. Make sure you drop in. Let us know where you're repping. Want to talk to you guys. Want to see what's up. Want to shout you out. Jared, right off the bat, just telling me I got a square head. So it's a real good start to the day, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, Mr. Richard Hooker. Yeah, big, tall, square head. It happens. Big head, big problems, Mr. Richard Hooker over on Facebook. Dick Hooker over on Facebook, checking in. Friend of the show. What's up, Dick?
We always love Mr. Hooker. We got Timothy coming at us from the 954 in Fort Lauderdale, or Flort if you're nasty. We got Sam Crow saying Cartman, bro. I guess I am Cartman today. So ski guys ham, but I'm already home, so it worked out well. Patrick coming from 626 Roland Heights, California, not very far from us. Yorktown, Virginia. That's all the way that away. So appreciate you guys.
That's a new one.
Also, sorry, my bubble is gonna look a little wobbly because of problems, as we say in the business, but it's okay. Leslie's here. She says, "Happy Monday, boys." Happy Monday, Leslie.
Leslie also says, "At least Brooke isn't blurry and pale." Leslie, that's not true. I am both blurry and pale in real life. We just managed to fix it on camera, so things are looking a little bit better today. So You're welcome for that.
Yeah, for as much as I said before, we're doing our little test drive stream that your camera framing was good. It is, but it's also it ended up like kind of weirdly low, so you're looking down, and it's just kind of funny to watch from this angle. What's good for you is you can't see me, so hey, that's the fun ways. The fun parts about doing this stuff from the magic of the internet, but it's working so far. And Justin's here from Sydney, Australia. So apparently we are working, Mr. Worldwide, as Brooke likes to say. We are going hard here. So I say we jump into it. First off, we got to give we got to announce the winner for last week's giveaway. We were giving away a Corey Seager autographed 11x14 photo. And of course, Corey Seager is picking up rings all throughout 2020, and especially this winter. He's World Series champion. He's a World Series MVP. He is married to Maddie, so he is a very lucky man. And we're giving away that autographed Corey photo. And let me find the drum roll. And the winner of that ball is Brooke. You know the names.
I won. I can't believe I won. Thank you. I appreciate it. The winner of the beautiful Corey Seager autograph 11x14 photo, Karina. That's at Karina_CEJ on Instagram. You have won it. It's in your household. You can frame it. You can do whatever you want with it. I don't care. It's yours now. Just send us a DM on Instagram. We'll send you one probably tonight, maybe tomorrow morning. I never know. You got 48 hours to respond to claim your prize, courtesy of Elite Sports Collectibles. That's at Elite Sports Collectibles on Instagram.
I don't think she has it already, but it's close enough.
Whatever.
Close enough.
Yeah, whatever.
Actually go and get to the next one. The next giveaway, the final giveaway of 2020 is we're pretty stoked about this one. We are giving away, hold on, my drum roll here. It's a pretty cool prize package. So we're giving away to 3 winners. We are giving away an autographed Julio Urias baseball, or Urias, if you want to be nasty about it. Dustin May signed baseball, not autographed. This one is signed. And that awesome, you can probably barely see it on the screen, or if not, check it out on our Instagram page, because that's where you need to go to enter to win, is on our Instagram at Official Dodgers Nation. But we're giving away a 2020 commemorative World Series baseball bat that has all of the I think it's all of the games from the World Series, like all the engravings and all that kind of stuff. So check it out. The imagery will look better on our Instagram. You just got to follow us at Official Dodgers Nation on Instagram. You got to follow our friends at Elite Sports Collectibles. Is a very important part. And tag your friends. Every tag of a friend is an entry to win one of those 3 items. We will be announcing 3 winners next week for our end of year celebration super show. Thank you. And that's it.
I got to take a moment because Jess is in the stream. I haven't seen Jess in the stream in a while. Jess says, I miss baseball and I miss you guys. Jess, it's good to see you. I hope you're doing well. I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah. We queen of the stream, queen of the show. I
thought that was me.
Yeah, I got some weird feedback there, so that was weird. Again, we're trying to figure this out. Ryan Morris said, you guys actually obeying Gavin Newsom? We're more so just trying to be responsible. We don't want to hear people complain about us being in the room together, even though we're being smart, we're being reasonable. We're not going into any underground raves or anything stupid.
Not yet.
Not yet. Hell yeah. 2021, baby. That's what's up. Let's dig into a few more of the comments right here before we get into the good stuff about what's going on in the real world of Dodger baseball. Swag Daddy McGee, our boy on Twitch, says, fresh cut, Brooke. Somebody noticed.
Oh, someone noticed my haircut. There's somebody also asking me where I get my haircut from because barbers closed down. Unfortunately, I think my barber also just closed down. So, yeah, it is what it is. Barbershop's closing down left and right.
Yeah, I got a guy who does it.
Can't get this fresh haircut.
I got a guy who does it by appointment only, so that's good. And I think I'm supposed to go tomorrow. So boom, I say one thing about us not getting yelled at being in the same room, but now I'm probably gonna get yelled at about getting a haircut. So it is what it is. Carlos is saying, can you guys shout out all the OKC Dodger fans as well? Hey, OKC represent. They got a damn good ball club there. Maybe not as good as Rancho, because the Rancho roster was kind of incidentally dropped, and the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes look like a hell of a ball club. But OKC fans, that's what's up, and I'm pretty sure if Jess Beatty was here, she'd be thrilled about those people too.
Yeah. I've never been to an OKC game. I've never been to OKC just in general, but I would like to go someday. I don't know. Minor league games are fun.
They are absolutely fun. Also, I see AJ in the stream, and we got to shout out AJ. Happy birthday, AJ. He is, I think, 57 today.
57 years young. Congratulations, AJ.
AJ on the guitar. All right, get us into the stuff. I've been trying to drink this beer for a minute.
No, my bad. Yeah, you got a really important thing. You got to drink the beer. We got a lot going on, beer, but also nothing going on at the same time. If you guys have been paying attention to rumor mills, if you guys have been, we just had baseball's winter meetings, and you wouldn't know it because nothing happened. I haven't even heard of any meetings that happened. I haven't heard of any agents that talked about anything. So it doesn't sound like much as anticipated, as we predicted. Doesn't sound like it was very successful. And to be fair, it was all done virtually. It was all done via Zoom or Skype or Google Hangouts or whatever your company wants to pay for or not pay for because they're cheap, whatever they want to do.
Cisco.
So nothing really happened. We got New Rumor Monday. That's what we're doing today because it seems like every single week there's a full series of rumors that come out in any given week. Some of them have some teeth to them, and some of them are just completely made up by a writer who's very bored and has nothing to do with his time right now. And we're going to talk about both sides of those things.
Yeah, I think a couple of those were Ken Rosenthal, a couple of the board writer ones.
And that's not something you usually get out of Kenny, but it's been a really weird offseason.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing Jeff Passan have no idea what to do with his hands, so he's like arguing with himself and arguing with Mike. I think it was Mark Feinsand on Twitter and things like that. Like these boys be bored. This is usually there's 2 months a year where baseball writers are just really top of the pops, and they are not this year because the trading deadline was whack and winter meetings have been even worse. So the big one that happened today, of course, people are excited about it because this is the only one that seems to have actual real teeth, is Liam Hendricks, shutdown closer for the Oakland Athletics, rumored to be linked to the Dodgers. How do you feel about Liam? I know we're going to get a little bit more. We're going to deep dive more into all of the rumors in a little bit, but how do you feel about the Hendricks rumors?
I think, and we'll talk about it more later, but I think of all of the rumors I've seen this offseason, obviously than the things that have already happened, like minor league signings, I think that's the one that carries the most weight to it. I think that's the most logical one. I think that's the direction that the Dodgers will go. Mm-hmm. And I'll talk more about it a little bit later. You got to stick around the whole show to find out, guys. I'm not just going to give it to you right off the bat so you can leave and act like you know something at a party later.
He's a tease, huh? You're a pod tease.
Real radio show kind of guy.
Hell yeah. But there was actual moves. I mean, there was like a Trevor Bauer rumor. There was I forgot what else. I mean, you're seeing LeMahieu and all that. We'll get into more of those, of the players kind of coming back, potentially coming, I should say. But we have the players that actually did come back. The Dodgers went hog wild on the final, I guess, sort of official day of fake winter meetings, of OnlyFans winter meetings, where they went and brought back. It was Flashback Friday. Brandon Morrow is back. Brock is back. Jimmy Nelson, who was a Dodger, most of us forgot, is back. I see what you did there.
Right.
Yeah. So, and then there was an infielder, like minor league depth guy. What's his name? Carlos Asuaje or something like that. James Pasos, who is, I believe, a left-handed reliever. Some arms. Probably the most noteworthy, Brandon Morrow. he went and took a bunch of money from the Cubbies and then came back home.
Yeah. If you guys remember Brandon Morrow at all, he was the every year there seems to be a guy that Dave Roberts and Andy Friedman just absolutely ride into the ground, and it's always in a contract year. It's always a guy that's on a 1-year deal or something similar to that. It happens every time. 2017, it was Brandon Morrow. And if you remember, that dude pitched in like every freaking game. He made 45 appearances during the regular season, which for a reliever, not anything crazy or over the top, but made a ton of appearances during the playoffs, arguably way too many appearances during the playoffs. I think he appeared in like 14 of the games or something ridiculous like that through the 3 series, which is just, it's just asking a lot. Morrow was really, really good during the regular season, and then got rocked by. I mean, he had a really good championship series. He had a really good division series that year. He got rocked by cheating Astros, so it's hard to really compare that and to say, you know, was that real? Was that fatigue? Was that them cheating? It was probably them cheating, because I'm always going to blame them for everything that they do, because they're the worst.
That they are.
But bringing Brandon Morrow back after getting he got like a $21 million deal, didn't he, with the Cubs?
Yeah.
Something ridiculous.
Yeah.
Over 20 million.
Homie got bank.
He didn't really play.
He
didn't really play.
He was healthy for like the first half of 2018. Was the Cubs closer. He saved like more than 20 games, ERA under 1.5. And then I think his back gave out on him, and that was it. That was all she wrote for old Brandon Morrow for the Cubbies. So he spent most of that time trying to come back. I think they released him last year, if I'm not mistaken. And then now he signs back on with LA, a place where he's had success. He knows the people. I mean, granted, somebody like Rick Honeycutt is gone. Still in the organization, but he's not around. So, I mean, it could be a steal. He's only, 36 now? 36. He'll be 37, I think, around mid-season. It says mid-season next year.
Right.
It's a solid flyer, definitely a solid flyer. And like you're saying, you know, we tend to have luck Again, I use we liberally, as in we are the Dodgers front office, but the Dodgers tend to have luck in getting that guy. There was Brandon Morrow. There was the Joe Blanton of the year, I think, before. There was a lot of those type of people, and it sort of became the expectation. We talked about it last week, I think, or not terribly long ago, where in 2018 it was supposed to be Tom Kohler to be that next guy. He blows up his shoulder in spring training, and then last year, I don't remember who the hell it was supposed to be in 19. I guess they did that mid-season with like Ryan Matson. I know, cover your ears. I said the evil name of Ryan Matson. But in 20, it was supposed to be Jimmy Nelson, and then that he hurt his back. So you look at this, and it's like, okay, that's cool, but you still have Pedro Baez as a free agent. You still have Blake Trinan as a free agent. You brought in a guy who hasn't been good for the last couple of years with Corey Knebel. Is that enough bullpen, or is Liam Hendricks the real deal?
Yeah, I mean, you look back at the past couple of years, and this is something that they do pretty often. They take flyers on minor league guys. And I will say, of the last couple of years, this is the highest quality group of guys that they've taken flyers on at the minor league level. The fact that you can get Brandon Morrow, a guy who got paid $21 million by the Cubs on a minor league deal in the first place, is huge. Yeah. Like, set aside everything that's happened to him, set aside the past 2 years with the Cubs, etc. A guy that was paid that much money as a reliever at one point, now that you get him on a minor league deal, is huge. It's a huge discount. No matter what, it is the right move to make, no matter what. Mm-hmm. I don't care if he comes in and gives up 25 straight home runs to start off spring training or whatever you want to call it. It's worth a risk, because there is no risk. There's almost no cost to you. It makes sense. Yeah. The funny thing is, the Cubs did the same thing that the Dodgers did the following year with the Red Sox, and that's faced off against a really good reliever that shut them down, that made them look embarrassing, that partially contributed to winning a series against them. And then they signed Brandon Morrow. We happened to do that with Joe Kelly. Also didn't necessarily pan out the way that we had hoped it would, but it's a reoccurring theme. You see a guy in the playoffs and you're like, holy crap, that guy's really good. He's a free agent next year? Call him. I want to talk to him. So that's what happened with him. I like the direction that they're going. I like the fact that they're in on big reliever names, but haven't done anything yet. And so to supplement that, they've added in these guys that could potentially be big names. But I mean, you're looking at the 2021 bullpen. You look at the outlook for it. I hate to bring this up because Dodger fans just don't want to talk about it. Personally, I don't think there's any chance that Blake Trinan returns. I think he's going to get the bag from somebody, and the Dodgers aren't going to pay him for that. I have a feeling that Pedro Baez will be back.
You leave this show now. How dare you say?
I will leave right now. That's fine. Yeah.
How dare you say this nightmare? I can't see Pedro coming back just because he wants years and he wants money. He turned down a 2-year deal last offseason when they were giving away money to people like Muncy and Taylor. He didn't want it, so he's looking somewhere he values himself more. He values himself at what his numbers are. A very, very, very good, highly underrated reliever, asterisk, in the regular season. I do not want Pedro Baez back because I know what he is in the postseason, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it happen. I mean, I don't. There's a good chance Brandon Morrow made his way back to LA because of how slow and how ugly this hot stove and this market is. People are not getting money anywhere.
Yeah, that's the other thing that made me think that Pedro might be back, because the Dodgers obviously have the money to spend. There's that familiarity that's also with them. I think in any other year, if this was his walk year, it wouldn't happen. But the fact that teams are just so willy-nilly giving up high-quality relievers and high-quality arms and non-tendering contracts, or not tendering contracts to them and just letting them walk away, is kind of an indication that a lot of teams aren't going to be willing to spend this offseason. The Mets are one team that I know will spend, when they already have, and they've probably already overspent on a catcher, unfortunately for them. Other than that, there aren't many teams out there that you're looking that are going to look at Pedro Baez as a guy you're gonna pay money to and commit years to, first of all, but also that's gonna make their bullpen better. It's a fine balance. It's a fine line that you kind of have to walk with him. The numbers have to be right for Pedro to be on your team, and they might be right for somebody. You never know. I think like my prediction early on was that he'd end up with the Phillies. It just makes sense to me on paper. It makes sense to me with their terrible, awful, no good, very bad bullpen.
Yeah.
Pedro Baez automatically makes their bullpen way better just by him being there in the first place, which is weird to say as a Dodger fan, but it is true. But if that doesn't shape out, if his market doesn't shape out, he might take a 1-year deal with the Dodgers again. It might be pretty low contract, low offer, but he might take that 1-year deal and hope that the market rebalances itself next year, which is not a bad move, honestly. It sounds like that's what Kike is trying to do too.
Well, with Kike, I would say, yeah, they're going to go for the 1-year deal. They're not going to do it in LA. They're not going to do it as Dodgers. Kike's not coming back to LA because if he wants to, and we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here, but if he wants to get enough at bats in 1 year to go back out on the market and try to get a long-term deal as I guess he'd be a 30-year-old then, it's not going to happen in LA because the Dodgers are going to try out Gavin Lux a lot more next year. You're either going to have JT back, or you're going to have an Arenado or Lindor or whatever the hell these people, the rumors are saying, or a LeMahieu, somebody else getting those at-bats. Yeah, Kike, I don't see it happening. Again, we'll get more into Kike in a little bit. I do want to talk a little bit more about the winter meetings and just how it's been so flat, and we're seeing these type of moves.
Right.
And saying something like Blake Trinan, maybe he makes sense, but somebody's going to pay him because there's always just massive bullpen needs around the league. I mean, that would be a great move for the Phillies if they're trying to pretend they're contenders. Go get him, make him your closer. It makes it look at least like you're trying to do something. But let's see what a few of the folks say in the comments here on that. Our boy El Cariza, Chris, is saying Baez 2.0 is good. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Yeah, he's great. Not in the postseason, and that matters.
Yeah, we seem to have gotten struck a chord here with some of the guys watching today, because some people are really happy about it. Some people are like, hold up a second, did you just say Pedro Baez is coming back to my team? So I think a couple people are a little bit upset about it, and that's understandable. If you've been a Dodger fan for any point in the last couple of years, you know that Pedro Baez is not the guy that you want to see come into a big situation. And worse than that, he is always the guy that comes into a big situation, unfortunately. I think he's a good quality pitcher. I think that the Dodgers are just at another level to where they've evolved to where they don't need him or can move on from him or can get somebody better than him. Obviously, it's not a shot at Petey. I like him. Yeah. I think he's a nice kid. Would prefer him not to be around personally. Not as a person, as a pitcher. I prefer him to not be around.
Yeah. Yeah, him as a person is fine because I like watching him, find the shade in the bullpen or in the on the field during batting practice. That's a different story.
Very enjoyable to watch him be by himself.
On YouTube, Vic says keep Urias as the closer. I would be all for that. I think that most Dodger fans would be all for that. Victor is not going to happen, but Vic is talking about Julio.
Victor won.
And no, Julio is going to be a starter, especially if you want to keep him, beyond his arbitration, beyond his team control. The only way you're keeping him is if he's a starter. Give him his 1 full year. We got Harpazo 2020 saying Morrow and Nelson well worth the gamble. I agree. Might as well bring him in. Like you were saying, it's a spring training thing. If they're flat, you don't have to pay him anything. Jose Rod asking, what if we can get Blake Trinan back cheap? Do you think Trinan would take a cheap deal to return here if the market isn't there?
I think if it's going to be one of those situations similar to those other guys that we just talked about, where if there's not a market there for him, he might take a 1-year deal on a it's not ideal for him, honestly, at his age. He's obviously still bouncing back from things. He's about to be 33. He's got still some work to do to get back to his all-star closer form. But I think if you're looking at if you're looking at the value of him, obviously he didn't perform great in the championship series and the World Series, but he did get big outs during the playoffs. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a weird balance for him right now. I think ideally he would want to take a couple years at this point. Yeah. Might not get that, but he might get that from somebody. You don't know. Someone might take the risk on it. Someone might take the gamble and say, yeah, he is back on the upswing. The Dodgers got him back in order. He's still got some stuff to figure out. Still got some command issues that he's got to get down, but he's back on the rise. His ground ball percentage is back up where it needs to be. So I think that it's possible. I think if you were going to tell me, hey, either Trinan or Baez, if you were saying, hey, both those guys want to come back on a 1-year deal because their market's not developing, personally, I'm taking Trinan. And I think that's kind of an easy choice, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people disagree with that.
Yeah, I saw one question that got me thinking about it. If you had the scenario, you had the situation of 3 years of Hendriks, or you can get both Trinan and Baez back. Where are you going? Just out of curiosity. I know there's a right answer.
Hendriks, no doubt about it, no problem. I'm gonna explain to you guys later why Hendriks is the solution for a lot of our problems. You got to stick around to find out though, because that's how you get all my wisdom.
Boom! I pushed the button. Winter meetings again. The flop. The weirdest thing I think happened. So, credit to the guys at John Boy, Jimmy and Jake, and the other guy, the flame out big leaguer, whose name escapes me at the moment. They had an 8-hour live stream, which is insanity, and they had basically all the big time media guys on there, and
right.
And Rosenthal, our boy Kenny Rosenthal, athletic god, the athletic, he's not an athletic god, but I think he just got bored and had some fun on a stream thing that he thought nobody was watching, and said, they asked him, hey, where do you think Trevor Bauer is going? And he said the Dodgers, and people slightly lost it. You caught the, I don't know, was it tongue-in-cheekiness for Ken to say Rosenthal, or Ken to say Bauer to the Dodgers, or do you think he actually believes that?
I think in the context of it, I mean, he was asked for like, who's your like dark horse candidate to make a run at him, and he seemed pretty serious, like, no, the Dodgers I think will make a run at him. In his mind, the more I think about it, the more I look at what's happening with Trevor Bauer, the more it makes sense. And not necessarily that he's coming to the Dodgers, but the fact that he would need to go to a large market team. The Cleveland Indians were not a large market team, believe it or not, somehow. The Reds, my goodness, not a large market team.
Even smaller, yeah.
Yeah, and the point that I saw made was, in years past, a player with his reputation, with his baggage that comes along with him, with his personality, with the fact that he has a YouTube channel where he basically reveals all the behind the scenes that people don't want to hear, or teams don't want people to hear about, things like that. In years past, he would not be welcome to a large market team. But I think that dynamic has shifted kind of dramatically over the last couple of years. And I think teams like that kind of attention and like that kind of difference that they have. I personally don't think that the Dodgers are in on that. I don't see that. I don't see, we've talked about this in the past where we have seen players that had to take down posts or pictures or reactions to things, or even just like hints of reactions to things, and they immediately came down. And that's all assumptions that we've assumed that they've been told to take it down, because it seems weird that all of them are doing the same thing. And I would say that that's right. But the Dodgers do like to kind of play things kind of close to the chest. They don't really like to keep things out there very much. So does that fit their personality? Does that fit their profile?
No, absolutely not.
I don't think so.
The idea of Trev going to a large market team, it sounds great on paper. Professionally, I really started thinking about it because I've been closed off to the idea of Bauer, just because I honestly don't want all the other show, knowing how much him and the organization would butt heads. That would never ever work out, a marriage between the two sides, because like you just said, the Dodgers don't want anything out there. Meanwhile, Bauer wants to vlog behind the scenes at the stadium. He wants to talk about all, like, even in addition to that, like, you get into the arbitration process, you get into, free agency, all that sorts of thing. He wants to tell you exactly how that went down. And that doesn't always paint organizations in the best picture, because at the end of the day, they are businesses who, need to wisely spend and invest their money. So from a fan viewpoint, you look at that and you're like, wow, they're kind of the bad guys here. And then, organization doesn't necessarily want that. So it is a weird situation for him to be in. I don't think that he's going to change anything about that. I think this is his goal. Like, this is how he wants to grow the game. And maybe for him it's working. Maybe it is. I haven't
paid much attention to him, honestly.
Yeah.
But I just don't see it being a fit with the Dodgers. I do see it being a fit with, like, so for me, it's a fit with the Mets, and I think that's the thing that makes the most sense to me. I don't know.
Yeah, the Mets would be fun, and where the part where I do love Trevor Bauer, Los Angeles Dodger, is he's one of the most advanced guys when it comes to advanced analytics and taking care of your body and the velo and the drive line and all the blah blah blah. The idea of getting him, with Clayton Kershaw, with Walker Buehler for a season, them sitting, side by side in the dugout, if that's a thing that's ever allowed again, talking about pitching, talking about baseball. I mean, you heard Alex Wood in such a short amount of time that they were teammates. They were Woody was talking about how much or what Bauer meant to him, and getting him in the drive line and kind of getting him on track and on the right pace to take his stuff to the next level. Right. So if all of a sudden you can get a 33-year-old Kershaw with stuff that takes him near elite for the next 2, 3, maybe even 4 seasons, that's the kind of little stuff that you think about that would be so much fun, almost kind of throwing back to the Greinke era, but Greinke was a lot more in his own world, and I think at the same time Kershaw was in his own world at the time, but
right.
Yeah, he would not fit in with the culture that the front office wants. And so with that, Kenny Rosenthal, I think, was having some fun and trying to ruffle some feathers. That's the personally the way I see it. I don't know if you disagree on that much, but
no, I mean, Kenny's been on a good one all I guess. He was on a good one this past week, man. I mean, aside from the Bauer thing, which we've talked about in the past, and it's obviously been brought up. Obviously, the Dodgers have a lot of money to spend, so they're going to be in any conversation. He also wrote this thing. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if he was just like, I'm really freaking bored and I gotta write something down, or I'm gonna go nuts. And he prefaced it. To be fair to Kenny, he prefaced it and basically was like, hey, this is not something that I've heard is happening. There's no rumor or indication of any of this happening. This is just a scenario that I see that could happen or could be an option. And he brought up 2 very strange, odd free agency / trade scenarios. The first one was the one that bothered me the most. I guess it's not the first one, and the way he wrote it was the second one. But I'm gonna phrase this as the first one. In his mind, he thought that with all the rumors with Nolan Arenado coming to the Dodgers or being traded to the Dodgers, he thought, you know what? While you're at it, you might as well just trade Corey Seager and get Trevor Story over here as well. Basically, just saying, hey, just move Trevor Story and Nolan Arenado to LA and just get rid of Seager now. You're going to have to extend him in the future. It's going to be a lot of work to do. He's going to cost you a lot of money. You got to replace him now. So just bring Trevor Story, which is really funny for a lot of reasons. Number one being Trevor Story is a free agent after this year.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure the direction he was heading with that, but add in the fact that those 2 guys cost $51 million this year. And Kenny, someone check on Kenny, man. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on.
I think he went to one of the spots where the weed is more legal.
Yeah. Man, he spent too much time with John Boy or something, dude.
Kenny Snoop Rosenthal, ladies and gentlemen. Interesting stuff to see. Back into the real world of things, the Dodgers do have free agents that are out there in the world. We got to talk Kiki. We got to talk JT. We're going to get into more of the rumors in a little bit because there have been slightly more substantial rumors, probably mainly the Hendrick one. And I want you to get more into Hendricks as a Los Angeles Dodger. But first, we got to talk about the guys that currently aren't, and maybe should be. So last week we chatted with former Dodgers GM and the former last GM to win a World Series. He does no longer hold that distinction, and he's happy about that, to not have to be the only remembered as the 1988 guy the last time the Dodgers won. But anyways, talk to Fred Claire a little bit about, like, how would you look at winning a World Series and seeing 2 of the key guys out on the free agent market. And while he didn't give us too much of an answer on would I bring them back, I like the way Fred talked about it. And I'm interested to, because we haven't talked about the chat so much, but if you guys want to check it out, the full interview is on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/DodgersNationTV, a full chat with Fred Claire. It's a long one. We're all chatty people, and we all had our coffee that morning, but it's good if you like good baseball talk.
He can tell some good stories, man, and I could listen to some. I could listen to some of those stories for a very long time. He talked about the one of his first winter meetings, and that was he also talked about the winter meetings where, you know, obviously the big trade happened, 3-team trade that basically won him the World Series. Yeah. Eventually won the World Series, which was just a really good story to hear. Because I wasn't alive. I wasn't there, believe it or not.
You were not there. One of the big things, though, I did like was him talking about how if I'm running another ball plug, I'm looking at somebody like Kike, or I'm looking at JT. These guys that have meant so much to the club, to this Dodgers success over the last 5, 6, even now 8 years. Although both of those guys in particular were not there for the whole run, but
right.
You got to look at that as a rival GM, as they would say if there was any rival GMs this weird shitty offseason, but. Yeah, to look at Akike and what he could mean to your team, to somebody like the Twins where he's been linked, or even the Mets that are rebuilding. Toronto wants to get veteran leadership, which is why you've seen the Blue Jays linked to LeMahieu a lot, linked to Justin Turner early in the offseason, and those type of guys. So long circle around here. Is it finally goodbye season for officially? I mean, we've talked about it a number of times this winter so far, but is it officially goodbye season for Enrique Hernandez?
Yeah, I don't think I would say at any point since the start of 2020, even before the whole world shut down, et cetera, I don't think at any point did I think that Kike Hernandez would be back in a Dodger uniform after this year. And it seems like with each passing day, the likelihood of that, it just keeps growing, that he's just not going to come back. Obviously he kind of stirred the pot a little bit by posting that what's that called? The
profile pic.
Yeah, the profile pic. It's like ambiguous. I don't know. I guess that's the right word. It's just a question mark on his hat, and that's his profile picture now, because obviously he doesn't know where he's going to go, and no one knows where he's going to go. But to me, that was the most like yeah. That's right. He's leaving. That's a good point. Yeah. And then you build on top of that when the report comes out about his contract demands.
Air quote.
It wasn't surprising to see, given the way that the Dodgers have treated him over the last couple of years and how vocal he's been about wanting to be a starter and everyday player, and doesn't want to be a super utility guy because he doesn't like being called that, even though he is that. He wants a 1-year deal. But more than that, he wants 500 plate appearances, which is that's a starter. 500 plate appearances is a starter. And so if you're looking at that, I don't know. Actually, I'm not even going to say I don't think. I know that the Dodgers cannot promise him that in any given year, especially at the rate that he plays at, with the inconsistency at the plate that he has. I mean, he's never topped more than, I think, like 460, if I remember correctly.
Played 462 in 17 and 460 in 2018, and that's his max. And that's when he was starting a whole bunch, and that was back-to-back years where they said, "Hey, yeah, this is the second base job. It's yours. You can have it." And he couldn't hold it down.
That's him saying, "I want to bat at the top of the lineup, and I want to be a starter, and I want to play on a consistent basis. I want to play on an everyday basis."
Yeah, and it's not going to happen in L.A., at least with the Dodgers. It could have happened with the L.A. Angels, because this is the only time I'll call the Anaheim Angels the L.A. Angels. That could have been a move, but then they went out and got a pair of churches, so it's not going to make too much sense to bring Kike there if they don't have the playing time he's looking for. So 500.
I was going to say, I got a bunch of feedback on my end. I don't know if anybody else is hearing it from you, but it got the loud.
That's my bad. I can fix it right now because I'm magic. Go ahead.
Ooh. Yeah, but I don't see a scenario where the Dodgers bring him back. Again, I hate going back to this because it seems like such a cop out, but maybe the market is just in such a bad spot that all the guys who are leaving try to come back on short term deals that are worth not as much as they maybe could have gotten the free market. But it all depends. I don't know how the free market's going to shape out. I will say that of all the free agents this year, Kike probably makes sense for a lot of different teams.
Yeah. He's valuable, like Fred was saying. Mr. Fred Clare saying he's such a valuable commodity to a baseball team and another like rebuilding team. I mean, hell, the Giants could sign him, plug him in at second base, depending on what the money he's looking for. But not only are you immediately upsetting like the fan base or whatever, and then all of a sudden you're getting him some much needed plate appearances on a bad team that maybe has a chance to get somewhere in the playoffs, depending on how the expanded playoffs look next year, which it could be a thing. So, is Kike? Is this finally goodbye for Enrique? Yes, it's going to be goodbye. They can't provide what he's looking for. Honestly, yeah. I've hit a point where if he did come back, yeah, it'd be great. He is a very important part of the team. Our boy SD Dodger Tim Rogers talked about it on Twitter earlier today. It's like we're gonna miss that versatility, but hopefully you could plug in the cheaper and younger Zach McKinstry and see what you can get out of him off the bench. So that'll be kind of cool to see. I would like to see both of them get some plate appearances in their own way. The other side, this guy's getting plate appearances wherever he goes. Justin Turner is seeking a 3-year deal. Those are his air quote contract demands. The man just turned 36 a couple weeks ago. Is it too much to say, hey, come back to the Dodgers? Is he going to be like too old? How do you feel about JT now that we've gotten this much further into the winter and this much further away from the glow of the World Series?
Yeah, man, 36 years old. A 3-year deal just puts you in a really tough spot if you're the Dodgers, because I think any other organization, I look at teams that don't have as much depth at their minor league level or don't have as much depth at a particular position or anything like that. And I think that makes sense. I think a 3-year deal makes sense for them. I think that they can afford the risk associated with the last year of his career, because really, you're only really worried about that last year of his contract. You're not really worried about the next 2 years, maybe a little bit about the second year, but not too much. But I think as another organization, you can afford that risk. I don't think the Dodgers need to afford that risk. I don't think that there's a purpose for them to. I think that obviously they would love to have JT back. We would all love to have JT back. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But when you're pushing 3 years like that, you start getting into a situation where you start flashing back to like Chase Utley or David Freese, guys who were probably played a year longer than they should have. And it showed not as much with Freese, but definitely with Chase.
Freezer,
definitely with Chase.
Yeah, Freezer was a godsend, and Chase Utley was he was just kind of there. He was having some fun.
Right. He was. Yeah. In his last year, he was like, "Look, dude, I'm a coach. I'm here. I'm gonna get a few plate appearances. I'm probably gonna strike out, but it is what it is." Go ahead.
Okay, if Justin just wants years, it's not that big of a deal. You could front load a contract. Right. I don't mind giving him sort of a legacy contract, looking at it like the way the Dodgers sort of planned it out with Utley. I mean, Utley, they signed a 2-year deal knowing that he was just going to play the one, and it was kind of a luxury tax sort of move. But JT, he's got one more season starter level or at least starters workload, but the Dodgers have kids like Cody Hosey. They have even some of the guys like see if McKinstry can maybe lock down some time there at third base, seeing what Eddie Rios really gets you. I mean, that dude's a bopper. You can't just keep stuffing these guys away. I mean, you look at last week in the Rule 5 draft, the Dodgers lost 8 pretty big names from their farm system, and we've hit this point, and Tim and I were talking about this a little bit. You've hit this point where you've hoarded these guys for so long, now you're just losing all of the value. So you bring back JT, and you're taking away potential ABs from Eddie Rios. But I think I test personally, he's not an everyday third baseman, but I test has not seen enough of Eddie because it's been JT.
Right, and I think that's been a shortcoming of the Dodgers for the past. I don't want, honestly, since ownership took over, I don't think that the Dodgers are used to having this deep of a farm system, and I think that they've had to adjust to that because of how quickly their farm system got really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you look back and there are several instances where you can look back now as a Dodger fan and say, like, yeah, they probably should have brought up that guy a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Or yeah, they probably should have gotten that old guy out of there a long time ago. Yeah, we wasted a few years of pretty young talent because we wanted to give an old guy a legacy contract or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely been an overflow of talent. I think coming into this year, you and I talked about just the fact that Edwin Rios and Matt Beatty were both on the team in general and haven't been traded was pretty wild because of the potential that they both have, but also the fact that they are major league ready players and there is no room for them on the roster at times. And obviously they made room on it this year. The expanded rosters help with that, but those are both guys that should be playing full time. Those are both guys that should be having starting chops,
or at least
like not even just
at least be getting opportunities. Like
I mean, you stash Matt Beatty on the bench for the entire playoffs and you're like, this is a guy that can bop. Like this guy can hit. What are we doing here? Like, I mean, obviously when you have a team who's producing and doing well, you don't really think about that too much, but man, there is a lot of wasted talent, and it's tough to call it wasted when you're winning ball games. But it is a lot of talent that's just sitting there, and that could be starting somewhere else. And we've come to know a lot of these guys, and we want to see them succeed, and we want to see them perform and get their opportunities. When Ross Stripling was traded, I think we were probably pretty happy for him, even though that not a Dodger, and it kind of sucks, but we both knew that he was going to get an opportunity to be a starter somewhere else rather than hey, you are what we tell you are that day. So that for that I was happy for him, but it's a tough spot. The Dodgers got a lot of talent.
In a way, like we're all being selfish about it because hey, our team is that much better than every other team by a mile, but it's these guys, livelihood, it's their careers that are essentially being held captive in a way by the front office, knowing that, okay, we have you for this long, we can control you for this long, we're going to do what you want. And then, you look at somebody like Ross, who, is an all-star in 2018. And, he was here in his age 30 season and was barely making like, what was it? He made like a $2 million deal or something like that. And that, I mean, this is a 30-year-old man. Meanwhile, you had somebody like, Garrett Cole, not the same talent level at all, but Garrett Cole goes out and gets $300 million from the Yankees. And I see a lot of Cole and Yankees chat happening. So I that was for you guys. Boom. You got your Cole mention out of your boy right here. But that's why Kike wants to go somewhere and have a chance to rebuild or build some value with a 500 plate appearance season, which isn't even a full-time starting gig. It's just the most PAs he would have ever got in his career. So yeah, it does hit a point where it's kind of messed up the way the Dodgers are treating some of these guys, and I guess we're sort of reaping the fruits of the benefits, or whatever benefits of the fruits of the labor. I don't know where to wrap it up here, but kind of doubling back to JT. JT was a guy at the time when we signed him, definitely needed him. There since have been maybe some guys that can take that spot, but you look at what happened after Adrian Beltre walked in. Again, they're not the same quality of player at all. They both have their different high quality intangibles, but how barren third base was for the better part of a decade or close to a decade after Beltre. You don't want to see that happen.
You put some respect on Casey Blake's name.
I stand behind my statement. You don't want to see that happen again with they hold on to JT and then you block somebody, or they let JT go and then guess what? Eddie Rios wasn't there and Cody Hosey is the next Andy LaRoche or something like that. Things just didn't quite work out, and now all of a sudden you got a hole in the lineup, where one of the things that's been so great about this lineup is that there hasn't been a hole since Chase Utley was starting at second base.
It's been a little while, but I mean, you get to a point where you feel good about it, and there's not a super old dude playing in the infield where he shouldn't be. With all due respect to Chase Utley, one of my favorite dudes out there, and always a great ball player, but it does feel like we're at a point now where we have so much talent in the farm.
Yeah.
I think arms are one thing that you never run short on, or you can never have too many of. I think is a better way to say that. Arms, you can always have as many arms as you want, but just position players. Like you look around at so many different dudes that are probably already ready to go in the minor leagues for the Dodgers, and you're like, oh, they're going to have to go play somewhere else because we don't have room for them here. And, that's a good problem. It is a good problem. And I think that we forget that. But it also makes it a little easier to let guys like Kike go, to let guys like JT, who is demanding a 3-year contract, not demanding, asking for a 3-year contract that's going to put him near 40 years old when he's done, makes it a little bit easier to deny something like that.
But a couple things on JT before we wrap up JT and move on to the other rumors, because we do got to talk about LeMahieu. We got to talk more Hendricks before we bounce for the evening. But Jose Rod had brought it up a little while ago on the chat over on YouTube, saying even in a shortened season, JT was injury prone. So you wonder if the two sides can sort of almost look at it like an arbitration hearing or whatever, and you could be like, hey, JT, you don't really get us that. You don't get us 500 plate appearances in a year or 600 or whatever. Maybe we give you that 3-year deal, but it's like a 3-year, $25 million deal, and it's like 10 and 10-10-5 or whatever, something like that. 3 years, 27. You find a way to make it work like that, and you sort of have the kind of gentleman's agreement that you're not guaranteed a starting role by the third year of your contract. You might have to phase into more of a super utility role, become the next Chase Utley. And you could see maybe JT being on board with that, seeing his predecessors of, Utley, Freezer, these guys that have done it and done it very well. JT's knees are not getting any younger.
Oh God, no.
It's his last.
His defense has been in steady decline.
It's his last opportunity to secure the bag. Would he take a lesser bag to stay home, though? I guess it's a long way.
That's something that he's going to have to that's a consideration that he's going to have to make. Obviously, he feels to an extent like he owes something to the Dodgers. The Dodgers took a risk on him and changed his career and changed his life forever. And he, for his part, he's done his best to change the Dodgers' lives forever. And he's done a really good job of that. He's changed a lot of our lives for the better because of what he's done here, both on the field and off the field. I think if he wants to stay home, there is definitely a contract for him to stay home. But if he wants to get that money, I got no problem with that. I got no qualms with that. JT, go do it. Get your money, get paid, retire on top, retire with a bunch of money in your bank account, and then do whatever you want after that, man. But either way, I have no problem with it. That's a good thing, though.
Yeah, it's not like he's broke. I would much prefer to come back and try to run it back in a full season than go to Toronto and see what happens. But that's just me. I prefer to win and be around my friends.
Yeah, my real friends. He has maybe 1.5 friends in Toronto. So
yeah, 1.5. Where we go? I forget about the soundboard.
His friend, just language,
language barrier there. All right, the final little bit before we wrap up. We got about 5 and change here, something like that. I mean, we got however long we want. We run the damn thing. DJ LeMahieu over the weekend was sort of linked, sort of incidentally not linked. It just things started to make sense where a partnership where it can work between the Dodgers and LeMahieu. I guess DJ's asking 5 years, $100 million from the Yankees, and the Yankees are not quite willing to go there for the 32-year-old. Your boy Jeff Passan talked about slotting him in at third base for the Dodgers, which he has played third. It's been a while. Thoughts? What are your thoughts on this LeMahieu stuff? Is there teeth to it? Do you want to see it? What kind of money? All that kind of stuff.
I mean, if you're telling me that the Yankees and DJ are $25 million apart on where he wants to be, I just don't see a scenario where the Dodgers would try to outbid something like that. No. I don't see the benefit of it necessarily. Obviously, we can talk about DJ's home and road splits, till the cows come home or whatever they say. But that aside, you forget entirely about that. And you're like, okay, well, if you're going to let's say you're missing out on JT, you're going to pay this dude a lot more to come here and play a position that he hasn't really played much of, and we don't know really what he's capable of, and he's aging. And on top of that, you also have young guys who can get the job done, and you want to not block somebody long term, because signing him to a 5-year deal is blocking somebody long term. It's blocking a couple of guys long term. I don't see a matchup on paper. I don't see a matchup in anybody's hearts. None of that really makes sense for me. And I think you and I are in agreement that the Dodgers are not the type of team to experiment. I think their biggest experiment over the last couple of years was putting Chris Taylor in the outfield for the first time and being like, oh, please work. And then it worked. Yeah. And obviously great. But aside from that, the Dodgers don't really play with fire in that sort of regard. They're not going like, you played 5 games of third base in single A ball. Let's put you over, see what happens. They're not really that type of. I mean, the Jock Peterson experiment aside, they don't do much besides that.
And while you're at it, here's a bunch of money and a bunch of years. The Dodgers are not the type of team to do what the Red Sox did with Hanley Ramirez after 2014, 2013, where they signed him to be a left fielder, and then like 28 minutes later he was out of baseball.
You're not a left fielder.
Yeah, that is not quite their style. And kind of doubling back, you're looking at the LeMahieu stuff. If he wants more years, yeah, I agree with you 100%. The Dodgers are not going to try to outbid the Yankees. There's no reason for them to try to outbid the Yankees.
Right.
Sure, LeMahieu can hit just about anywhere, but he has had he's played for 2 teams and has won 2 batting titles where his home team has very, very hitter-friendly ballparks. So you sort of look at that with like kind of the Nolan Arenado grain of salt with it a little bit. So you want to pay him even less because of that. But at the same time, if we're talking about JT and not wanting to block some of these kids or give Eddie Rios an opportunity, well, that's 100% gone now if you sign DJ LeMahieu for 5 years. And again, he's going to be I think he just turned 32 or he's about to turn 33, or next year will be his age 33 season. He's no spring chicken, and Andy Friedman does not like to give contracts past that age 36 season. So I personally don't see much teeth behind the LeMahieu thing. This is just other this writers using the Dodgers as the mystery team in negotiations. That's right. That's my personal take. And
that's good.
And the bare last minute, we double all the way back to where we started. Liam Hendricks. I know you wanted to go in a little bit on this, so hopefully our long-winded rambling has been entertaining for you guys, and or at least on the podcast, you guys are still listening. Because here's the good stuff. You know what they say? Yeah. You bet your best hitter in the 9-hole. He's the closer. He's the closer.
This is the reason why you stick around so long, to hear the important parts. You got to put them all at the end so people stick around at the end of the show. That's how show business works, or so I've been told. I don't know. The Dodgers being in on Liam Hendricks still to this point, number one, makes all the sense in the world. But number two, it's huge. It's a really big commitment to something if you're thinking about it long term. Hendricks obviously wants multiple years. The report is about 4 years, and that's always a number that's kind of in fluctuation when people are asking for contracts and offers and things like that. They're like, no, I won't take anything less than 5, and then somebody ends up taking 3, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's a negotiation point. I get it. Hendricks is a very, 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 very good pitcher and has been for the last 2 seasons. Before that, arguably not so much, but for the last 2 years has been a workhorse, has not limited to 1 inning in relief. He's not that kind of guy. He has started games in the past. He is unlike any arm that has been on the free agent market in a while, in the sense that he can do kind of just anything. And we got to see it during the playoffs, was a monster this year. At his best, which he has been for the past 2 seasons, I mean, he's been dominant. I mean, I don't even know the best way to put it. He is the guy that you want. And obviously he was the guy who kind of followed up Blake Treinen in Oakland. So it would be kind of funny to watch that happen again, coming from Oakland once again. But I mean, over the past 2 years in 2 separate seasons, put together a 1.87 FIP and a 1.14 FIP, and anything below 3 is just like magically delicious, or whatever you want to say about it. Has been extremely good. He strikes out dudes at a high clip, around 13 per 9 innings, which is like kind of Kenley Jansen numbers when he's good. There are some things that he can fine tune and work on in LA. And as we know, Dodgers pitching coaches have a tendency of making pitchers better when they get here, which is always a good thing. He's already really good. There is one particular situation that I think makes him the ideal fit for the Dodgers, though, and it is the fact that
say it.
Number one, Kenley Jansen is just
yes.
He's just not. After his contract's up, Kenley is not going to be in the Dodgers. I just don't think he's going to be here. But add in the fact that you look at Kenley's contract situation and you look at Joe Kelly's contract situation and the way it's set up, and you're like, holy crap, there's going to be a lot of money on the table over the next couple of years if you're looking to fill out the bullpen. Joe Kelly has a club option in the following year. He's obviously set for this year. Kenley's set for this year. Kenley's going to be a free agent after this year, but Joe Kelly has a club option after this season that I just don't think that the Dodgers are going to pick up unless he has some sort of miraculous
there's no way they do
season this year. Which
it's for more money too.
It is for more money, significantly more, considering when you're looking at the arc of his performance with the Dodgers.
Joe Kelly was that deal was initially supposed to be that Kenley Jansen safety net. And guess what? Ain't gonna happen, in the immortal words of Magic Johnson.
Now you're looking at it.
He's not gonna be here.
Right. Now you're looking at it and you're like, oh crap, we might get rid of both of these guys with one fell swoop. I mean, he's making like $4 million in his first year, $4 million in his second year, $8 million this year, something along those lines. And then he's going to jump all the way up to $12 million with a club option. Joe Kelly, no way. There's no way they're picking up that option again, unless 2021 is some kind of wild, ridiculous comeback year for him, which I just don't see happening. I mean, if you guys got to see Joe Kelly at all last season, so if you're looking for a guy who is, let's say Hendricks is like, hey, I want 4 years and I'm serious about these 4 years, the Dodgers can absolutely give him 4 years, and it's not going to come at that steep of a price considering it's a longer term. I think he's the guy, man. I think he's the guy that we got to go in on. I think he's going to be the man to close down games for us. I just see so much value in what he could bring to LA.
Yeah, 100%. He would be phenomenal. He checks off on a number of boxes in filling out your bullpen for beyond 2021. If you do sign him to a 4-year deal, there's nothing that says he's trending in the wrong direction. We got Bill on Facebook saying Hendricks would be a tremendous good fit for the Dodgers. Should be worth making that signing happening. Logan Jones talking about Joe Kelly Fight Club. I am wearing the nice Swing B shirt from our GearUp.LA store. Do check it out on the internet. Where is it? Where Brandon is mad at us. Brandon Prince on YouTube saying, "Why would you say that about Jansen? The man has the most saves in Dodgers history. Where's the love, people?" It's not a not love.
What have you
thing.
done for me lately? I don't care.
Yeah. It was what have you done? We loved Kenley. We're gonna look back at Kenley's career with love and rose tinted whatever, blah blah. But right now, if he's not getting the job done consistently, at some point it's I guess it's you gotta crap or get off the pot here, and you can't just keep giving him this job if he's not going to excel at it anymore. Maybe he can be a fine 7th inning guy, but I just you don't see Kenley, even if he has a resurgent 2021. I cannot see Kenley Jansen remaining in Dodger blue beyond 2022 or much more behind that. But good.
He's gonna be like a race closer or something.
Appreciate you guys from the comments. We were able to see there are oddly there's a Burrow fight, like a New York Burrow fight happening. I really enjoy the threats happening in the comments. That's always a good time to see in the middle of a stream when we're talking about baseball and looking down and being like, I'm from the Bronx, and you're like, okay. and he's 26, by the way. But we appreciate you kids not crushing our algorithms and keeping the numbers up. That's always fun. We got a bunch of comments out of that, but hopefully next time it's a little more normal. We can see more of your guys' comments going on along the way. I will end our stream with a comment, the most important comment coming from Leslie on here, the second to last show of the 2020 season for us, or the 2020 calendar year. At the end of the day, the Dodgers still won the World Series, and that's just a fun and friendly and wonderful reminder that we all should be getting on the daily. And you can if you follow us on Official Dodgers Nation. Our Instagram account is always reminding you in the morning that we are world champions. And if you want to be reminded about more Dodgers news or learn the latest, check us out on the internet at DodgersNation.com. That is a website that gives you baseball sports talk. We are a podcast. We're on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, all the spots where your podcasts are available for free. You can find Blue Heaven Podcast. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/DodgersNationTV. We have a bunch of news going on with our counterpart, with our buddy Doug McCain. He is doing news updates every day, just about every day of the week, and his videos are fun to watch, even if some people want to read them. So we're seeing people in the comments saying to transcribe it. The whole idea is to listen to it. You don't want to read it. This is reverse audible, Chief. Anyway, thank you.
That's a good way to phrase it. We're really proud of you for that. Guys, I'm at Me 3. This guy on one of the sides of me, and I never know which one it is at Real FRG. We're both on Twitter and Instagram. Go check us out. We'll be celebrating the holidays by doing nothing. You want to be there for that. We are at Dodgers Nation on Twitter, at Official Dodgers Nation on Instagram. Make sure you head over to the IG page. Check out that huge, massive, wonderful, great giveaway that we're doing. You don't want to miss out on that one. Doing that with Elite Sports Collectibles. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your comments. Thank you. Shout out to the Bronx, I guess. I don't know. We'll see you next week.
Bye.